Nina Trase, Oba Atemantemwa, ono ena regional director. I only Western regional director, yes.
Assistant
okay.
Chief Executive Officer.
Okay. Assistant Chief Executive Officer.
It's rent control no. As of now, you need directorate at the regional level.
Okay. CEO.
Assistant
CEO. Okay. Position and person the man and what
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I pay yane ora courage Cornelius ebebon komo hana yet issues about rent dying high. Any komo ha say this is the third time about home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. And here that's it. Near some more strike. Last week near Pohana yasu was striking. Say abana to music mama.
Amunya ntia I say am 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah chain. Yeah chain.
2 weeks on betu mama.
2 weeks now must settle near
okay.
We are hopeful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, mama say ebia no we ni bredi kan ya obi so rent control basically summarize my moduma and saying the idea some rama mo kwan amoye and saying
okay into mess summarizing rent control department as a department no yeah Ministry of Works and Housing ase
okay
and ye juma ne say I am mess summarizing first and foremost you be educate public no on the Rent Act no to say there be no pay and second one is say interwantawa ba na conflict ba between landlord and a tenant. I was say you solve challenges no and the last one would be say I was say making sure say regulations our Rent Act no mu na ayejuma na obiati na asumdwen landlord and a tenant yeah
bibi how person we yete e bia bi education bu onko person we dia now the edika we are questions we want to mebusa
okay
something that you want to talk about
okay.
It mo
okay inti I think say the latest say for the very first time since 1963
okay.
Rent Control Department no yenya rent commissioner. I said the first time I'm buyer no me no can advocate yeah.
Okay.
It is since 1963 section 2 of the Rent Act no. I was say yenya rent commissioner no I was also making sure say Rent Act no ayejuma but for the past over 6 decades na yenyebi but for the first time no yenya rent commissioner and the directives Bema.
Oh okay.
Yeah, Mr. Frederick Opoku.
Oh okay.
Yeah. That's a very good step forward because Oshe Western Region Hakra you were 12 mmds if I'm right.
Yeah.
But rent office you were 5 per. All because of the gaps in Tiama enforcement no abeye some way but eventually we are hopeful say CCI commissioner no I was so making sure say challenges now within the sector no it has come to a halt now landlords na tenants yatina asumdwen yeah to say the way our Rent Act no proposing no yeah
oh okay and mama for we say mampani so no labor unions ni share no kan say yan report any landlord bia obe charge will be 2 years advance.
Yes.
Statement we ya kan sa but e koso ya be ne den na yi
inti won say say report landlord awaji more than 2 years more than the 6 months because actually per law no and yes if you are biaji more than 6 months the way forward ne say o share Rent Act now I was say after 7 days Fira then the property am right per law I was say or man the tenant rent card Rent Act no so say within 14 days I was say ma or tenant tenancy agreement inti procedure wo ho a was a Fira of fame and son of the property am rent year 1 once I was seal down why you are doing say a rent business now become no first thing they say I was say oko regulators no more now oko register I was all call rent office now call register as a landlord. Who register I was a rent office call inspecting property no, making sure say property no is suitable for habitation. And I say fata say I was say you renting. I was a property no yeah assess property no. Now you share amount I was say a dino a deco. Once assemblies no you have various zones. So it's the rent office, of course. It's within an MMDA. Until I was making sure say that property is assessed. Amayama certificate of assessed rent. After that, no fear and I was drafted tenancy agreement. Tenancy agreement no now. Spell out obligations and a rights of tenants. Until enye anokasa I was krata so say as obiba be expressing interest in no property na o de sa document ne be ma no na wa kokin kan so wa ye krado say o fie ho ebia 11 no be 2 gate mu me fie ho ebia every Saturday sir, every Saturday ya proper nipa no nim say fie has rules we na wo ho say onye ready say obey abide there mo engage but sign per meaning say why ready say obey this sign hihye ni na so mo sign we as a copy no we say back to the rent office my rent office file copy no e office say as ochina assembly bar ana assembly sorry eno ane say yakoyi krata no Mr. O sign say on your way. I didn't know we straightforward. Then now rent office be issue rent card as a validation of that particular tenancy no. But over the years no, the procedures no and costs are.
Who's a coming? Who's a so sweet?
So
baby say how often? And a landlord be a landlady be about outfit. Sadi we cost will be back. Well, this case any tenant no a landlord na so yes anima we
a landlord na was register until for the regional office. I think the last time I was here we were talking about reforms here in the region. So as of now people have started coming for us to help them draft tenancy agreement, registration, filing the tenancy and getting rent cards. Like I said, the problems no we came to inherit it since 1963. Gradually people will accept it.
Well, a situation whereby landlord be emphasize process we nyina now what dan akoma wo bie no akọ rent na asemo aba ne ba rent control mo chefa wo mu ni sen
nti say o flout ye wo bibi say excuse is no ignorance of the law is no excuse. It is oba I was say a prosecutor, but like I said now we have a commissioner, so I'm sure that the commissioner by now is engaging the local assembly ministries because all the MMDAs are under there for us to get MOU signed with the judiciary, with the police service and all other stakeholders. Eventually no enforcement ne be strong, so we are very hopeful say eventually bibia be
good. So what are the challenges or how ben ya na bi ba ma so most of you be higher solvable and be higher solvable? Talking about issues are tenant for the ban landlords for the ba ma so.
The truth is that the absence of the tenancy agreement no create problems no, because issues at Taba office by rent arrears say Fira say tenant or the car 1 month, 2 months, 3 months on tier. Ebia tenant or the sisa girls be fie ho tenant on ti dynamo or the dynamo before like so the absence of
if you rabbit me ba be complain say obi ahane down with the ma be fie ho.
Oh yes.
Okay, in this case, no, you know, no one shares a mount for mama on with the mama.
You see, that's where the gap is because of the absence. But template I Western region you were a portion in the tenancy agreement. So Obejidina, you specify the type of or the family size that is coming, and then there are clauses there that you don't arbitrary or bringing different people into the premises without the consent of the landlord. once I was signed, say, oh yes, sir, you've flouted, you've breached the agreement. So now the laws can, take its course. But there's someone signed BBA. My bet yes karma now metifio mediobiaba osi where then there's no grounds for you to even trigger exactly. So the absence of tenancy agreement is what brings disputes, rental disputes in the country. Yeah.
In Tiabasa anwa kwambe na rent control mo fa so solve.
Mostly no say we of course when the complaint come we invite both parties over, then we go into the matter. It is a excessive. Certainly we would have to establish the claims of the complainant. Say no tenant ne yesa fear no any fee ebia inkora wo feel ha say who carry out that activities, it would influence them.
Okay.
So jai so then of course both of you cannot coexist. We just make necessary refunds. Time is given for you to seek an alternative accommodation.
So what are the factors, what are the things tenant be to say okay as you breach one or two rules be reach a point where landlord and landlord is not really so by accommodating the pani bill but o tiesi kana mana compensation ka ho e bia nya yo no na ekofie na say eni ma bia koso ofie o mani nye ho ntitu o tiesi kana ma compensation ka ho na.
So the rent office, we don't have power to award cost.
Okay.
So issue basa if refunds are being made, it is refund of the rent without compensation. If you want to go into compensation, then the matter would have to be forwarded to the court.
Ebi mama so yeda so obi abase obi hand down ebi compensation.
Yes, mostly no it's a compensation issue. Bema the obi say tenant ne beka say bia wa incur cost abeya repairs, renovation, and now also uncle. Mostly that's when they demand
but
for.
But is it allowed say tenant bit be aba obi fie na when na be sie ho no aye amafie run?
Once as I spelled out the processes, it's not allowed for a tenant to come and complete a landlord's premises.
Okay.
In the first place, the premises no was a habitable grants a tenant now. Meaning says uba share complete premises upa na waje. Inti anya advisable say ode usika beba be ye obi ne dine. It's not advisable at all.
Okay, the other things we see have maybe who be say obi rent na bia akopɛ dan obi ho a we say ebia 1,000 Ghana cedi chimba in ho utu ebia 1 year and ebia 6 months utu ebia no asage 3 months of scan awage na ebia 1,000 no a obeje 3,000 ato ho say ebia so in case okɔ na ubroki bibi say ofie ho a no de aye. Is it permissible? Is it?
It's a security deposit, a friend of security deposit. So what happens is that, as I said, the tenancy agreement, now a landlord na any duties of the drafty. There are some recalcitrant tenants out there. Obi wo ho obeji dan no kra, akaga kra ni mrebe so we jani o mebi mo wo ho okọ ombabium. So it serves as a security measure for the landlord in case of such eventuality.
But
like I said, security agreements now both parties bear enter. So once both parties consent to it, then it's binding. Yeah.
But effect bear a war because any idea no see esi kwan any sunsun bi or something because
one say the gaps within the rental housing sector no and no compel landlords to take such measures. However, say you go by the procedures that is clearly outlined. Now say obia follow that procedure, then we can talk about having a system where before you rent, before a tenant comes to the premises, if we are to register that tenant and the tenant causes a mess in Takrade and is going to Tamale to rent, they will capture that tenant there. So that tenant can come and rectify his wrong in Takrade. If that system, the landlords will be welcoming to it because the rent office, we are there to protect the interest of either party. Say landlords no amu allow amu go through the processes for us to get data. It would help in such a situation. It ain't being here cry say obeje security deposit. What it would mean is say tenant be says o nyoma water crade no ko tamale crack or rent here. E benya no water male now I be resolving the problem our cause water crade. That is basically the essence of registrations. Because it would give data and it will provide that avenue to check some of these mishappenings.
Good.
Yeah.
Udi kan kasa no kan say SSS obi woni dan no de ma han oba rent control by registration na mo kokoy accessibility ko meko say dan no de ma no is it okay so betim de ama say landlord bi amfa mra no so wa mama so am registration na mo find out say what need dan ma han without say on ba ho due process now rent control for them am here
Inti there's in per the act no one say this is something that all the stakeholders need to comply per the law no you bet me in prison to up to 6 months or you pay fines.
But say obi woni dan
yes
na SSS opeso de ma han now I'm found call rent control ho na man ko yesa accessibility no anje registration no one want to pay na mo finding out which chilipa no
see how they be prosecute you see that the president crack as a report if you report to the rent office until right now if from the 1st of April we are speaking if as a landlord one be pass it through the right processes get yourself registered and all to get the rent card and then a matter comes to the rent office would prosecute you would send your details forward you to the court the district court and then the penalties would be emitted to you
brebe be ma tenants so be at fault e was our case we mu
one says agreement I was signed that's you see the tenant comes to rent a premises it is a what sign agreement now breach the agreement then of course
me just a situation whereby enipa no me be ban me dan e bia me nim say onko register here na ma be payment ama na ehun aba asem a tenant nipa ko hide and be affected ana on the case of prosecution
on the part of the tenant you must make sure say what demanded for a tenancy agreement. I think I said this the last time I was here no you demand for tenancy agreement and if payment is made now landlord need the agreement neighbor the landlord no has registered ube say a stamp receive stamp bo tenancy agreement so and then they will come back with a rent card meaning the landlord is duly registered it is a tenancy agreement it's received from the rent office and the essence the reason why it is received it would mean say that agreement has aligned with all the laws Fira no because rent office be endorse the tenancy then Fira no one demand and now one J more than the 6 months if you take more than 6 months the rent office cannot validate the agreement until as a tenant
obi 6 months
oh yes right now it's encouraging honestly
there be men who know 2 years 1 year
Sisia no as we speak now most of the landlords it seems they are negotiating for 1 year tenure but we pray and we hope that the rent act there's a new bill that's 2023 rent act but it hasn't been passed yet I don't know per se movie the 6 month cap not to 1 year until a bonfire say ebe pass quickly so that few random so am I comfortable kakra because most of the landlords honestly that's their income
now income any agent busumi bi you see income dia busumi bia say it your kabusumi in say bia wo da no de 1000 Ghana cedi unum say busumi so ade 1000 Ghana me ko am fu say enu mumu ye so nke say bia nipa ne ba ho no be ya de bia enya quickly maybe I bet my family process maybe I'm not but we 2 years
sure
we be behind 3 years 3 years advance wait me tell me 3 years
exactly
because we be bet me here bia pass oko who we na kwa disika no na I problem until 6 months na year 1 year 1 month year
yes one say no credit say let's come down to the basics
okay
rent a shelter.
Okay.
And a shelter one of the basic needs for human survival.
Yeah.
And as a Uber Ghana crust per statistics from statistical services, no, about 30% of Ghanaians are into residential shelter.
Yeah.
Meaning rental residential, meaning say obeda stores na commercial no crime bill more. So if this volume of people are into the sector and let's say properly regulated, high youth no, because Ghana is a youthful population. Into such a population, how do they venture into enterprises? How do they become innovative? Say, as we have it now, most of the burden of the youthness say obenya baby ada ana obenya atade ni eduane die no ho na yedwen obi tua ne rent de odwe ho ani baby obenya sky tua ne subsequent rent. So when the sector is properly regulated and then we outdo the needs of the basics, which is food, shelter, accommodation, then of course we can talk about sustainable development. Inti ayame they say for a while now the issues of rental shelter no, it's all over the media, and that means attention is gradually coming towards the shelter space, and of course for that matter the rent control department, because the truth is that the rent control department itself has capacity problems. We have challenges. Like I said, this region, for instance, there are 12 MMDAs, but we only have 5 offices, or we are only operating 5 offices, where the regional office, which is supposed to oversee all the district offices, but the regional office is 7, ECMA, STMA, Shama, all the way to Aguna Nkwanta. It's problematic. If landlord demands for excess of 6 months, must one travel all the way from Aguna to Takrade to come and complain? So it's about time attention is directed towards the office in itself, so that the office will be able to carry out its mandate. Tenancy agreement, tenancy agreement na landlord ne duty.
Okay. It's a rent control for.
So we can guide it to draft it. So rules are on the tenant to no engage when you consult us. We
so what are basic things I no more outline?
So the tenancy agreement, it needs to record the person who is renting, the premises, very important, the recoverable rent, which is the monthly renter OJ, the tenor, which is of course say monthly and you do so from 1 month up to 6 months now as we have it, and the rules of engagement, the duties, then the very important clause that needs to be there, exit and termination clauses. So me dying there mayor maybe I'm more notice for this duration. So I won't name biom Obama me notice for this duration. It's very important. But the signature. For now, like I said, a few people who come to the office, we have a template. Babaka would assist you draft it to suit your premises. And the beauty of it is a business will come. It is a Obomodia draft agreement now. I done a lifetime property. I just say clause be move. It is who take it time either go to the lawyers or come to the rent office. We assist you draft it a lifetime obiba no anise why photocopy na koso sa
so no na yene ne bon komo no we assistant CEO at the rent control na yene ne bon komo takrade. In fact we baby o yene discuss so free ni nsem no atum say we kwadale adwuma ni mu a we me friend be friend Asian ono so ya emrebi kwa na nkomo pese o moje mo pani kura but anye is a very good guy and see what to say wa Asian we am the number be man is a very nice guy with my link up with, so it's good say be talking about my issue back why agent wo mo no esese mo na mbe register eshamase ana se mo ni fiura fo asem
into agent no your real estate agency council amuna mo oversee the issues of agent and agencies into amuna was amuma license to agent and because agent or rep of a landlord. Inti ebia fira bimo like we have in Takra, the Bebrenaya bogus amuni around.
Yeah.
So they can give or convey that power to an agent for the agent to transact business with the tenant. And as when that is done, the agent is representing the landlord.
Okay.
Yeah. Into a raw estate agency na amu license and amuna was amu regulate amu activities. Yeah.
Into munu yejuma.
Oh sure, sir. We work with landlords and tenants. But so if a landlord,
anyone entity mamu we say bia obey registration say bia or pursue this agreement only the rest is from
yes. It is a landlord delegated authority agent. Of course, we are working with the landlord through the agent and the tenant.
But agent for only be so no minimum. Nyama ba na amatete form ho amu are they creating problem between the landlord and the tenant no.
So the agent no crane say the only challenge that we get often at the rent office here amu percentages now mu charging the 10%,
15%.
A bimokra viewing fees and unfortunate thing is amu ko charge tenants no those percentages. So and if you look at the Rent Act, it's the landlord who is supposed to pay the agent because the agent is working for the landlord and the percentage is 5. It shouldn't exceed 5%. Yeah.
10% no more. Now so view if you know my request. So as what work here. Now what we be on na track mu ko mu na boss aka no. We are was viewing fee.
Yeah.
200 Ghana so only 200 2 million.
The unfortunate thing is agent bebre agencies and agent bebre no they are not even registered.
Yeah.
You see if the systems work properly, the agent should work under a broker because that's the umbrella and then the brokers will register the agents under them. So it means if an agent misbehave you can hold someone accountable, but most people operating within the space no they are not registered, they are not even licensed. So they are just taking advantage of people and it's unfortunate. Yes, it's unfortunate.
Almost I BS benim na anu ya so charge wa say we few runs what the jedana 1,000 Ghana a month now I catch it so na e bia our posty say bia wo dan bi o de yesa no de bia atoso say bia 1,000 na no 1,002
yeah
do 200 e wo de ho ndo discount come few run no na wate ne balance no we are wasage 10% no wasage viewing fee no
no crown once because of the percentage the unlawful percentages are much no and no agent some of them because I know quite a number who are registered and are operating but they don't have the license because the Royal Estate Agency Council unfortunately they don't maintain any office in the Western region. Inti ebimo the agents they advise the landlords or they supervise for the payment of the 1 year, the 2 years because the more the years the more the money that comes to them. So it's unfortunate, but one thing we have to understand is we are a community of people. So you take advantage of people. Take for instance obia otonton adewa market or be rented dina or exploiting certainly oko tina market wa ono so the be odibedi obi ebi ade odi di no ono so oye lawyer ube seke ne service ono so the be yo ebi ade ode be ya no oye driver oko seke ne service ono so the be yo so it ends up going in cycle.
Yeah dangerous ne say would be scan be to so what you say would this can be to so
yeah
I you quite 10% they be on and I can't nupanati as you betia. But who feel running when a man said the Danny say now the be to swear if you're running our way.
Yeah. So you see
the can even take you on
the Rent Act it makes or it prefer the solution for this problem because the rent control no share I think section 5 it spells out the responsibilities of the rent control office and one of it is to keep or maintain a register of vacant premises, meaning says if you be register the property now the register or registry records say a few way available into under normal circumstances so be here dan and one say 190 about rent control office or here dan or this area we have a register, we open it, we even have the amount there because the property has been assessed and then the rate is there into and one say be a book a dan no be waha amount near say this bedrooms and by then the rent office would have inspected the place, so it's as simple as that. But because the systems has been porous since 1963 I better say now before things will get better because and then it will certainly get better. I'm very hopeful.
So education seriously serious education about this rent issue.
Not only education but the thing is that as soon as possible the rent commissioner should get MOUs, sign memorandum of understanding with even the judiciary, because believe you me say issue be bad the rent office is here na fear say or genedan na ye tie case no award the grace period tenant no one kwa we forward we make recommendations to the court for enforcement. There are instances case no could quarter it travels some months which is not supposed to. So when that happens it makes the people not have that confidence in the rent control department because sasem call okra e be delay what you say. So if an MOU is signed with the judiciary that should the rent case travel to the court so should be done at the rent control, then we know that once the rent control has done its due diligence, if an issue is forwarded to the court, then within 7 days maximum the case has to be determined or action has to be taken. If that is duly done, then now the landlords would also have confidence and then listen to what the law also proposes. So it's not just with the courts, we need to get those MOUs signed with Ghana Tourism Authority because I'm regulating hostels. You know the issues with hostels, so that we spell out key indicators for one to get license to operate as a hostel. Not only a hostel, the short stays, the hotels, the guest houses, they are all rental. So it's about time, sir. I'm very happy for the appointment of the commissioner, but he has a lot to do, and the quicker things are done, the better for the sector.
Sir, 3 months, me 12 me demo me ma bosu me ensano. Na no be ka ho asem. Is it legal? Yeah. Say me kutu kwa rent kwa am be bosu me ensan. Educate us a bit on that.
So you see that we are humans. No matter what, obi flat na or feed no man and the person is supposed to leave. You can't just go and ask the person to just move out. Certainly the person needs to seek an alternative. That's why in the wisdom of the law it makes that provision.
So 3 months.
The grace period it spans between 3 to 6 months actually. So depending on the case and how the case.
So I mean some for fresh. So the basa grace period no tenant Mr. Abetia.
Was so tia free. Obetia on the current rate, meaning within that grace period no ultimately any increment because any new agreement now are more enter.
Now situation whereby what's name me them 1 year. When you renovation bia was me too. 1,000 they got 1,500. Is it allowed?
So after every 2 years per law, a rent can be reviewed. Okay. But there are grounds on which rent has to be reviewed. But unfortunately, because the system is informal, inti obia to me sorry with 2 dime just like that. But if the registration processes are undergone and then the property is assessed, before you want to, if you want to increase your rent, you have to apply for reassessment, and then the reasons for which you want to increase the rent, no say your forms, the forms na you must all pick a form now, you state the reason you want to increase the rent there. So all those things will be considered for the right things to be done. So it's all about the say you better follow the lay down processes, and then the capacity of the rent control department itself is upgraded to accommodate the challenges.
Mira say ebusia me ba line so na maje nche kakra bi announce wo asem bia bebusa wako han dan bi wo face problem bi face challenge bi de won ti ase fa rent control dwumadie nyina no frɛ na bebusa question say wa 0248 071 174 0248 071 174 0248 071 174. Call and ask your question. But oba, the volume of your television set no na wa manaba phone kakra no rumba from say be ya ebetimi ate o na wasem bisa no so no yetimi ate ase 0248 071 174 0248 071 174. Ofra ba na do message nso ka ho biaba na ya tie onso dia o de ba 0248 071 174. Good morning. Okay, sorry. 0248 071 174 0248 071 174. Message so fafa so. Oko WhatsApp and I say via Facebook nso a na odi aba. Menya me first caller. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oba udi ni baby afrefi.
Papa, your friend me Madeleine, secretary man.
Bacho mami ntio.
Papa, my hard for 3 years. Na 2 years na me do an ko 2 years na me come so am. But 1 year and if you an ka say on on pese so ya ni no. Mean true for 1 year I'm sure to am no ko 2 years. Peter me nya ho bo bi ha say e kwa December na me ko December na ye 1 year. Me December no me mo tu and you send me the paradigm be a 2 years. What I tell me say me kuna mu na what me say tia me kuna mu. Na me say me tamo sombu no na what me sana no see me tia.
Okay. Matthias here. Penny no be yan mama. Why? Good morning. Hello, morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good evening, baby. Afrefi. What can free? My own swam. Why? Question to be a first saying. Ike, yet you.
Oh, in the I don't know. Okay, there's a message. I condition more. It's and one.
What's it? I am Rasaday.
More high than if you remember, I just me boy air condition more or 600. You air condition 500, maybe 2 years.
So if you're running air condition amount, say a boy air condition amount, or bet you 600, one more air condition 500 for 2 years.
For 2 years,
okay, Mati, that's a pa. Good morning. But all line is so good morning. Okay, young Fafo Fro. Good morning.
Good morning.
We didn't baby Afrefi.
You're going to use Mojam Kaswa.
Your friend saying?
Use Mojam Kaswa.
Yet you, I don't say.
My good, that's all. Oko ha dan ya aka gbene eze ha dan one give to roof your align. Hello,
yeti o kasa ni enti why
one say toilet two say don do so say gare do so ona bo
ai
say bi no to the dan high.
Okay, as a bunch of Sasani, man on Suo, Sabia Janabia, and Sani man, Ebinua, which me the Danima, Hayana, a question, Ubusa. All right, good morning. But you didn't be a Casafre. But your network remote to check a country position. We, your first saying, Ocasafre. Enoch Obuase was beside say,
yeah, but you. My rent chamber and hall self-contained 15,000. So
chamber and hall a month here 15,000.
Baby, order my 15,000 1 year.
1 year, okay.
1 year. So let me because maybe can say something.
Hello, Obuase. Some credit. Credit, Nasa. Hello. Too bad. Enya the other side of say wo hang here for 1 year. So na ka oba bi akebe papa. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. But o man tie wo hu TV this so wo tie wo hu sa nti wo ntisi apeke kra. Ya kan sa mo madwuma na edin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oba udi baby afrefi.
But free Kumasi, Zinasi.
Ya fro saying.
Na me but your family ma comfort di na di ni me wo so twe mama.
My NTO comfort.
Me pacho. Dan ha teacher I feel for no come to teacher 2 years. Teacher 2 years. Yes, Ramo. Ano so mon kan wa samai me say ya hu chere pa ya ni ha hu chere. Yes, ke kwa ya 1 year or so 1 year. Teacher 2 years.
Okay. Yes, so yeah, that's good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
Udi baby afrefi. Kumasi wo how to say?
About like 2 years. The 2 years of 2.5. My toilet in the name. I'm on the way to cities. My phone. The battle was 1.5 years when she toilet in the and if you also have into a jet quite rather a gremian of the Medrogumu. When you come on the time, this year, 2 times now, it did 2 weeks and 2 years. But you are 2 down 1 month. I'm not in you. But the Indian man was faster than you in the atom. So I did 1 week in me. I thought it was one.
Let's say, what you done as will be in your man or did delays. Okay, I just said that is also another issue. All right, you better address it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Udi baby afrefi.
Yakubu,
Yentio Yakubu.
Me program na take agreement work here. This will be about ye.
Me ba tobu ase na kasa ne yente wo ne tobu ase na yente wo asem ne ye. We say agreement ai dey.
The me some president say we advance 2 years.
Okay.
I'm fortunate. The story about those who already done it in the council.
Me ba the church one yente wo ne ne ye. We say o ma ai dey.
I'm $1
Okay. Okay. Matias pa. Ghana akrasi yemfa dollar nye bibia okro mebu. Yemfa dollar nye transactions. Emsa ba na kan. Anyway, good morning.
Morning, brother.
Nyamena dum. Wasem bisa say.
Brother, nyamento nkwanda mu sisine wawe.
Okay.
Ya brother penina o kan hono se me manachi. Na ye chia wa tiefo no ahwefo wa wetefo se o mo mentia o ma o mo pa wa.
Yo.
Bravo. Ya $10. Ya $1 wa ha. Ya o kom na ni se we me ya den ayama. What ya say? Me come to the Omuka, about one.
Nyamutrena, maybe I'll do asem the number. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Would you need baby our frame if you?
I'm from
Techima, I'm walking. What's the business saying?
That's all the business. Every any panel over behind Dino. Oba area dana ka masaka ono so pe njobe mo sika ma odi afana eno so ano itiamra na
okay opedan no wonya adwuma no nwie wa ma usika se fa wie adwuma no itiamra na asemu a opeso busa no ye da ase yemfa we good morning
so
but we di ni baby of me fi attachment ya for yentie mo agenche
you what say mpachu ebiana obi de dai ama obi ahai wadama na hai no o tọrẹtì ní ìṣú ìyá omi báyìí mo búṣà ní sẹ wọn ní wọn ẹbẹ wọ́n ṣe bí i àmì nǹkan àgbà náà wọn nínú kàrẹ́ wà kí a ṣe àfihàn wọn máa bó ṣe níbi àkọfà ẹ̀nàdàǹfọ̀ náà wò ní àná nítorí ẹ̀fẹ̀ kan hó sáà dẹ̀ ni ìfà baako náà wọ́n báyìí no wọ́n bẹ́ kàn hó no ẹ̀fí ẹ̀rí ọ̀rọ̀ wọn kọ́ àṣẹ wọ́n sá ṣáàjì bí àná sẹ́ wọ́n ṣáàjì náà wọ́n ṣáàjì náà nítorí ti ṣe ọ̀hún wọ́n fẹ́ ní sáà.
Okay. I said we're very interesting. Good morning. Morning. Ebacho, ma wone so ma me why? Hello? Ah, yeah, now say 1 year 15,000 and a day. Hey, nyamuta na wala ni mu break you na yante o kasa ni why? What say? We network ni bad pa.
Me say.
Hello, Enoch.
Short 5,000.
What the 5,000 account was
20,000.
20,000 for another year now. Oh, okay. Now say we give 15,000 year now. I finish soon, you know. I know the 5,000 account to you. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's a pie clear. Yeah, that's it. Good morning.
Morning.
Would you maybe a free fee? Wallency. Yes, you.
Not rigid.
Okay.
So who are you at the Obia? And Otimusa, that's another part of shading so that in Pravata. And one watches in six tracker. I right to over tracker.
Okay. What high day? And now high down here, no. What's your baby now? In so toy, and a befa down you chance in free so. And I feel I'm a bit yaka. Okay, Mate. Ubeyano, good morning.
Good morning.
About would you be afraid fee? What's up, Miss Anderson? Rose, what's up, Miss Anderson? Eunice, right.
I couldn't be trying to say, maybe I wind up that to the area our child might do high here. I am the last a steamer or fancy, not plan. Of course, a bonus.
What's on the man to you? What's it?
Let's see, and you have a 2 years. You advance, you are taking.
Was it? Oh, how 2 years? One day, Eddie Abercon. Okay. What's that? Okay. Matthias, we hire dine we, you know, so you know, as I at the Biaka home, Watum, Mremusana. All right. Good morning.
Good morning.
Would you maybe a free?
What? The family Benjamin
Asankarwa, what's the say?
What's all my family saying? Sir, up a high dine, read a high dine. I saw no one over high. You decide to do one everything, so no one over here. You have been 5, 6, don't want let them go. Let's do that now, do that. So what the umbrella
okay. Similar question now, Ubiswebisa, Yadasapa, Ibiyan Mama. Good morning. Hello? Good morning. Hello? Too bad. Mama for you. Good morning. Would you baby akasa free? We jam line so. We jam line the cry. Good morning. Would you baby free? Kenta Bo, what's up, say?
I'm but what you say? Oh, I don't was so many. Yes, W. Yeah, 100, 120. I think all you Christmas that. What did I get? I think 1 year on there.
Okay. Oh, what did you? How much is 100 Ghana and we zero? What is this man saying? Yeah, that's it, bro. Good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
But you didn't be afraid. What's the son say?
My son is saying, she has said, moving more than more for some. I had to say, me, I'm in a higher dialogue.
Okay. Ghana mran say ni kwan say o man bro 6 months. Ebi nipa na kwan da no so wiska obetumatu ya no be 2 years ah. E bro etia mra na. We were talking about the tenants who pursue tia more than all right. Yeah, that's good morning.
Good morning.
Boss, we didn't baby out frame fi.
I just frame you man ka free boy ni.
Asante Reggie Bowri.
Acha.
Be mama nti wa jenche.
But you know that say be behind by feel na kind of say be like mention. You feel we are not like me one of the fans that come with me so. And when so no can like or we do cheer like baby that I know the lights na mawana.
Lights na omo twa mu no enya wo na wo consume ye ba wo beto se ka ho. Ana wo sasa your right to say if you remember what you can be na.
Funny I feel like ni be man.
Asana ya twilight ni bia ma. Oh okay. What did you can say? Okay, yeah that's pa asem kase na ade aba no. Yeah that's it. Yemfa we ewa ha. Good morning. Udini baby afrefi. Hello. Line is so ayeshe. Good morning.
Hello.
Udini baby akasa free.
Because free tema.
Yentio.
Me pacho we me catch this asem. Hello.
Meet you.
Makafe o TDC. Akwedi TDC wo. The dino obi betme mu say adoye keke. Eturi aso no se onu se Ghana ni totu. Na ko e na akwedi o TDC wo no drama no so be sizi e dan na fi nipa no no wetua ka o TDC no wo.
What you can say? O point o say wo atofie.
Ai.
Ana de na asi.
Ma atofie.
Okay.
Ena adoya so mi ko ni papa ne na we du no the man ye be no o ma o mi be so mo me da wo fie ho.
Okay.
Eturi aso papa so no so e Ghana ni so ma ne ma ne ai na ma. Ye.
Edana ampato tubu asentia edana wo toye ena wo kuru nua ama obi abetena dan ni mu anya sa
ko nua o adofo ne mba nya baby na ena e de ba kuma so one day mu.
Okay.
Ana so no so e Ghana ni we see dan no so man kwala ni free dan ni mu at na o ma papa e dan no obi wo TVC wo so wo nyim mbra na so de bi so wo nyim very well say papa ni dey me papers so ono bua man na o person onji e dan ni fi mini ye nsemu no
edan a mo na mo mato edan na ye mo dia ena adoye nti ma mo obi abetena mu bi ni nipa na abetena no eje dan na firim nsem
ena anyo ache na TVC ni na no oye bi o TVC won e bua papa no sen sabeta dan no
asem de e da sepa ye be yi ho anu yi wa ha good morning. Hello oba udin baby ofrefi
Kasi wasako so.
Wasem bisane sen.
Because masem bisane say wudi e daima o enza kwetine wa ahai no. Nipa no e boa o efie ne ho adwuma e ma wo ya na. Kese wa nka say won pie ye bibia nipa no won ye bibia.
Okay, enti me bacha e dan na odi ama na uncompleted build na na. E dan ni. Okay. Enti e dan na odi ama no wa han one just can add an man no.
And to a car operating na no actually no.
Okay.
Oye bema and dan man wa wuti. And he say dey no no e plan e to buy. Ni dey no 1 plus 10. Ngu fam no. Me na ngu ka wo fa man ngwe. Wongu 1 plus 10 mususu 1 plus 10. Ana wa da 15.
Oh, okay. But what's the point now? All right. In here, that's it. Mechi macho. I say, what did I know? Eda on what Yamaubi. One for rentino. So on Tim, in watcher no. What Tim said, Danny and cast it from. ani em plaster mu but enipa na betre mu sa onye mu adwuma bia ono on casting mu ono on plaster no ana watim sa ana obusa say onye mu adwuma betimi abetu na na because that when chia rent bia nso am farmer wo. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Udi ni baby akasa eya mu lower volume no why lower volume na akasa go phone why.
Yo.
Good moment to open it.
The person the person we bisa sama kata na mi ko ni ya.
Yeti we.
The person tenant na sa if you run o ko ni so dan ma u gi tu. Na ni ta ba ya no ni ba dia dia o ba ya ni no say o ba ya bi je to ba na 5 years. E che scherzo ma e parma e offerte na.
Ya o kana mentiase o.
Me say. Che dano maintenance 6 months.
Okay.
Is me this is why ni this no kwa why. E ni ba ya dia no was ni ba no tenants no ho ba di dano was agan nyamo. E di o ba so tu the plan for that 5 years.
Okay.
Yes. Se no venha pa yin you.
Okay.
So get ma tenants
Fibra na why from so na. Okay. Obi so bisa similar question. All right. Nti ya da say good morning.
Good morning.
Udi baby akasa free.
We pacho unti ni mame na. E pacho me mame retired teacher. Dayama ya hai. Ye utu na me mame advance. Ufika nkaya. Asasa ni nyanda nyina manaka ni nkonya wadani. Wakena kwetu baba beyi nkonya na mama ni edan na ma hai. Mwenye skato bidie. Otini yi ni amano egbu abontiana.
Okay. Otimi yi ni amano egbu abontiana. Yada sepa. Good morning. Udi ni baby akasa free masa. Ma onesu mama why owusu wasem bisa no say. Wasem bisa no say. Yomun samra e wo red. Okay, Mati, yon samra. Emra no so say ase. Okay, me nim the opposite o kade bad. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Sorry about that. Mama for be two course me ka you may send and some doors. Good morning. We didn't baby akasa free. Mami to agent.
Asem bi shana say. So we be dey what day. Na we be shana say onu nko an na be tene ma na say bia o yi ni tambi no. Na ka tell say bia ni pa baako. Onu nko an na e ba be tena be ni. Na say chi no be hu na wo do ba we aba. Oba no ba no abeda no ko. Adi bia de na o afra ba no abeda no ko. Obetime gina sa de tu enipa na ahihie.
Okay. It has it. But one who the person. Okay, that's the last caller. Far away. Would you very akasa free? Oba Linda, what's your business saying?
Because you may be a make a agent before. Agent before no agent before. But to make a sure when you're there, you will say, I know I'm telling him this over shed and running already. When you uncle, you over the mommy and Sanawa connected, who can I want to watching the extra by the agent for no day. Only see that and do not see for no money or more ending. Because women in this you did I do over 1 month.
Yeah.
And then you go to also 2 years no. And the extra also one because than the other open or motor. Now, also, I need them.
Eda se ebsia yemfa afre for the fair di kan mfansia na openi nya da gin yi ansimusa na ensem na aba no so edoso obesa se we.
Okay, so I think the first caller no I say otua 2 years and 1 year and ofi dino but I say or Ofi Dynum, she overstayed after the 1 year no, and a few run also demanded for that few or say 2 months, right? Yeah. Overstay for 2 months. Few run episode just come. I was so tiana. This is in the first place. No, both parties no more engaging unlawfully. Yeah. Into a more engagement nankasa no a boomra. Into our no so one who can say anka obeti me insist so bit now for that 2 years because that's what Otia for though it is unlawful. But once Amwasa agree na say obe film na say waje ne balance 1 year now wa overstay 2 months and you free also Otia. Okay. Yeah. The second person no or say Fura say obeje 600 say office air condition mano and I say one face air condition now obeje no 500. That one no, like I said no, if the systems are enforced I will say assessment no a beam it is assessment beam na say Fura no provide air condition 600 na say who call check no na air condition truly is installed. Now that is what has been assessed and approved. Why not? If you run say extra benefits into say pay air conditioner, then you just go with it. Yeah, it's that simple. Obi say rented then I was looking out for washroom and sans and I was like I was say rent office assess property no, and that every assembly wall basic things I'm looking out for in a rented premises. Say washroom bewo toilet facility bewo kitchen light in so into those are some basic things that of course every renter dwelling needs.
So we go hand and be no I no go so hand high no.
Say oko higher say meaning was like I said no the rent the processes needs to be followed thoroughly. Right. So say if that is the benchmark of the assembly then the rent office before we validate say no I was say the rent no then it needs to have those facilities but the informal nature of things now I say rent office cry a year ato in chain. That is why if you notice the rent office now is calling for mandatory landlord registration. Say what sit down or they rent no and yes no kwan say obeka say I made 90 they me pen a mayor. No I was say call regulators now call register say one register then we need to emit out penalties but here lies the case the challenges like I said some assemblies offices in here. Right. So those are the gaps that needs to be dealt with. I think Obi say 2 years advance so the mandatory landlord registration it solves that problem. Say the landlord demanded for 2 years or better than disturbing until those are some of the things president say report until rent officer bell no kohoneko report here. The tenant has vacated but still holding on to my keys. What do I do? Obi say in a tenant a fee dine but still keys no I want to hold it me akobu pona na me pacho debi will be a friend an absconded tenant say o tenant ti dine muna nimre ason uni baby owo and so key dinosaur watum now the key kwa say ukobu no na ochina oba beka say ebia flat screen or dino my bra ebi nim home theater or dynum abra ebinim say oba beye case tiawa me pacho as a fira or who befa rather obeko rent officer ben obeko koso affidavit office the crata beko from for 14 days say one bar ye beje order fee court ebupon no nyoma wo dynum ye be take inventory of nyoma ni na we keep say oba obeba betua ansa waje ne nyoma me pacho no ne right process inti enya se wa odeshe ohuna okobu pono obi say the tenant we see dine AC baby ena nisika shorty obi abase opese as a tenant opese ode nisika beshim otimi ya na as I said as a tenant no enye tenant ni responsibility say obeba be complete wo dan. However say both parties still omo ho ase na ambe engage that way. You just make sure say there is agreement to that effect. And yes sir,
e kana abobo no dey aka rent period on the amount.
Once say economists say both parties will be dealing away from the caps.
Yeah,
because here now be committee in that property, we would see the assessment. Okay. So the right thing to do is as a FIRA there, I was all completely property no habitable.
So I can so go open in term here dining term so mama scan be a ties be na come amento.
Say 6 months no na obeje there no problem. Then that one aligns with the laws.
Okay.
Obi say obi beje ne dan. Hasi onu nkwa na obeti name. But ode nkrofo 4 5 abeka ho otimi sisa rent na ode chine
omo aka no so otimi je
rent won say tenancy agreement no solved all these problems. Okay. So template yawo takrade office no portion, I think I mentioned it, said the number of occupants of the team, no, you specify it. It's no agreement, no man away from that, no, there's a clause that if you want to add someone onto the premises, you need to do that with the consent of the landlord.
So add any jam, you know.
Yeah.
Well, oba ware for, and I ware no kunia. I don't know and two case onkwana I am nkwana betem especially about the kunu aba besra no e wodam ho na bi obedi be na hotwe I don't know why I don't know so I so obo firu amane
o say no there ebanisa before tenant ne sign agreement no of course I a married person the number of occupants no beka share firu no but there are situations in Takrade for instance students are renting or non then some weeks or some months after the colleague abekan ho wadan no meanwhile na rented dan no obi abeka ho no you are setting pressure on the facility no no once it's in the agreement that it's a sole person residing no na make sure say the template here no there's a clause that any addition is subject to the consent and approval of the landlord, and the landlord also has that right to review the rent now or charge on.
Yeah, a issue you know.
Yeah.
Be a man I mean anti I say that. The all can say me na behind dino. And mako family abetra me nchen and one metie and wo. When see a situation whereby bia nipa na ba o me stay ho for e bia that 1 year na 6 months na betra ho no. Ba wo baako. I don't know if you question say and no so say obo firu am ya mane ana.
Oh, certainly say firu na nya we. Na say odi obi ba ho a was say obo firu na mane because obi stay one week, 2 weeks. Certainly oba firu ha obi you say insuo. Obe excuse me obe ko private. It's adding on to the facility until was obo firu na mane. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, obi say otia 15,000 for a year. And nifira no ewu 1 year or 2 mark or 20,000. The question is metrics ben afira no they increase rent no. And no sir no uncle reporting or rent office. Na ambe intervene. Obi free tamale o say wa rented dinom ama insuo abetu ni roof. Wetia fira ne say on man is canon from replace roof no. I don't know is the responsibility of the landlord to repair the roof. And tenant
in there so
the fira no na was yes or repair roof no. Obviously can nifira betimi increase the rent after 2 years ana. Inti the law is that after 2 years no rent is subject to review. The word near review, but subject to assessment.
Okay.
Was there for say neoma cut down rent no say was cut down say neoma cut up was cut up until na year review no so after 2 years rent can be reviewed
ba kro me dey obi an high down enti ne dan so da this is dagana
ebesi enche systems no you putting in place ebesi so obi say can I pay okay tenant be bisa so bit so no person to more than 6 months no beti metua na the law ne dey law no 6 months ne a cap into unti more than 6 months no so you've breached or you violated the law. Obi say is it right for me to contribute also obey fie ho no na ya disconnect light because I'm modeka fear ne person or reconnect but I'm person am onu so tia
a canibi ansa na watwedi amano.
I think this one there's basic logic. Nipa no enyo no na oboka no iti there or consume light no ono na wose obetia because as a tenant there enjoying or having light no the basic need I was a fear no who provide inti per your negligence awama obi adeka ekwa and the fear no wona I was so tia say woma there or they cano betia into new tenant ne there enya ne obligation crash obeba betia obineka obi say water property TDC and ebusia ni bia bet name I think that I know the enya rent case but of course metimi amasumo advice property na otoye enho krata wo ha enye se okasapi TDC nipa na o se oye we no just go to court and then have the person order eviction order na amunkotu no obi say granted the room or the dimer obi one gene rent nipa no so onye improvement bia wo edan no motimitu na of course utimitu no but rent office no delay with landlords and tenants inti once one rent here man no no either say ode nipa ne be call legal aid office awo area mu a owo amuso amuye juma te say there ye juma na mbe frɛ mu mienu na ma settle no ana say ode nipa ne be court obi say ne tenant ja ne neoma wo edan num for some time otimi bupon no yi ne neoma na I think I've answered that question enye say wo bupon no enye say wo share wa wo ho di bupon
this is the strategy enipa na ha dan wie na bia opesu otu bia ne time crown so bia wo han 6 months and wo ye payment no watrem be 4 months no so bibi krasi be pese me ko enti fa me balance mame me nipa no if you run a chia balance of 2 months na kana ma en waje en wayi niema no wayi bia ma na ka bi wodan ne for almost be 2 months 3 months o ma me yi if you run so pesa dan no e dia ma rent en wo busa say onye dai obetimi yi ne niema na na
de bia nya so yi niema na we say current office na okoye complain ambe boa na ambe je order we say ya ji order say bupon because for all you know tenant no boa payo is that how they say it and now yes say uko bupon ne say obeba beka say ni bibi wadan no minti take the right measure current office ambe boa within 14 days am the notice but ambe je order na am bupon no
now obi ka last call no ka agent asewo no nimso wan twere dia now see agent for no so no mun regulate wo na sika mo jeje say they need discuss na musika mo jeje dan wo say we ne kura nje ho na wajuska viewing fee now kano maji wo say we ensure percentage too much nti mo he na mun regulate wo mo
sure so like I said for the very first time in a long time yenya rent commissioner ono na juma na ne say obe make sure say rent act no aye juma nti me sure say enche wa enumerate various stakeholders raw estate agency council amoka ho nti ono omo be collaborate to make sure say the sector regarding the issues of agents no is regularized.
Enchana yes sorry so what special message be the man na say ebia baby am office wo contact number be na ya he am say abranti wa frabre ma mentie na asem na ye mewie. Good morning. But I was saying
if you're up or me up, Yakokran, and you did that. We look, price and go back one in 1 day. But why she crown one that in house renting and schooling. It was put in the bath, someone. Yeah, fire Diana.
Okay, Yati. Mamjo, you do much and young connect. But out to the point, you know.
I'll say, I'm the dying.
Yeah, in fact, me and Cochrane, everyone would turn on the Diana. Say, about one was CC Hono.
Okay.
But Netamon showing. I'm betting me, the way you man when you're if you ho. Don't bet me so in the balance.
I would have loved to follow up with a question. Say I must sign agreement and
so far as our rented diamond, yes, and agreement be a verb with two scam for a certain period.
Once you were human beings nankasa were different categories of human beings. A bit more naturally they are problematic. And nothing na yeah advice say I was some team crata so ebanesa mommy poppy mon kasa bebre and no necessary onye na said dia o dey akọ rent office because we register sa tenants in the rent office rent office papa ibeje made an agreement I sign ni on this so rent office be intervene.
Fantastic.
Na you're making sure say we're performing the obligations here.
So my numbers and baby I'm all should in case you person bar landlords for mutia they are willing to come and register and do stuff no
so the rent control office here was town popularly called town they were around the market circle just some few meters away from telecell office towards your share blocks with metro education office Catholic Bishop House no ne cheap your share blocks with metro education audit service or Ghana News Agency na you the same block here so we here office line so 050
0504
491 37 53 yeah
but
050 491 37 53
yeah okay and the more issue if you rough mo pese mo call register e rent control in fact mo premises we mran say mo register so you need to go and register we here tenancy agreements so rent control for by assist normal draft come e dia ma sere be ya sa problems ya ye free nya no tenancy agreement no ho all these problems will be a thing of the past okon dan so asere wa kansa all these amenities ni nya insuo wo ho kania wo ho ba bia obeja na wo ho those things ni nyina a factor so factor ansa na bia obeji dan na so normally no present ba one can stores no I can be 3 minutes store omo store so mo dey rent yes omo wo goodwill bi wo skabi yes utia those stores no say they want something
say your corner stores the issues regarding in that space no are serious because
very very serious
there are a lot of people who are evading taxes. They are supposed to be rent taxes. I don't want to go there, but yeah, ban the commercial. That one, of course, it's a commercial premises. It is landlords are not registering. You find occupants of stores who are operating without any form of registration, any form of data. The question is that the taxes they pay to GRA, how is it audited? Because the audit service is supposed to fall on a register to be able to ensure compliance. Within the space, the commercial aspect, I think you would have to invite me another day for us to go there. Okay. Because the sector really needs serious reforms.
Okay.
Serious reforms.
So, last words, name sorry.
To say the rent commission and the from the 1st of April, if you are a landlord in this country, now say you don't come for rent card and you give out your premises, if the law holds you, you would be prosecuted. It is your own property, but as a regulatory body, I was saying making sure say lost na judgment. Yes, mufira mumbe register mo register mo tenancy na mo nje mo rent card na rent office and protecting mo interest as well as that of the tenant.
Me da say ura courage Cornelius Sonu assistant chief executive officer rent control takrade ono na no pay waboye na extensively yene na din koma fa rent issues ni ade obetaba because that one on there amount for bed ne okrumi apa amount for challenge on party number ni 0504 0504 913 753 0504 913 753 wo issue bia related about rent issues or western region ha na takrade ha ofra obetima bo wo other region kwa na bia obetima fra bia na wo the college bu ha obetima from our guidelines education obetima bo na bia kameda papa fa be barama ba na kwa do bupra o chama ba ye essential afi Samuel Dingo DJ Bon Kwabra Yaro enu sikani from Pomanso ya da mas papa se mbo atuma di na ye dia ba wi